In this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips to help you improve as a trader. Now, these are relatable to both beginners and more seasoned traders. How do you know if you're a more seasoned trader? Well, for me personally, the simplest way to figure it out is if you feel 20 years older than you actually are because of the stresses that you've gone through, you're most likely a more seasoned trader. What I'm going to do is kind of try and tie all of them into the beginner and the experts so we can explain them all together. I've been getting a ton of emails over the past few weeks because lots of people, well, everyone is at home basically, and they're kind of looking for stuff to do, and lots of people are starting to learn how to trade. So hopefully this video is going to be helpful. The first tip I'm going to give you is, have you ever seen one of those, they're kind of like wave charts. They look something like this, and they have the horizontal line going through the center. Well, you, as a trader, whether you're a beginner or an expert, it doesn't really matter, that is going to be your trading life. I still look at myself in terms of comparing myself to this kind of wave chart. To explain it, I'm going to go over something which is very close to my heart because I am Scottish, and that is getting drunk. Now, if you don't drink, if you've never been drunk, just think about someone you've seen uptown, most likely me, staggering around after having way too much alcohol. Now, as a trader, we face lots of different kind of difficulties that we need to overcome. So things like fear of missing out, things like simply fear when you're looking to enter into a trade, things like freezing when you're in a trade. So let's say you just hold on to a trade for a loss when you should have came out. Things like emotional trading when you start moving your stop. Things like taking enormous risk, building your account massively, and then it all comes crashing down very, very quickly. So those are the kind of waves. Those are the kind of different waves that we go on as traders. Now, if you think about someone who first starts drinking. So you think about it's your 18th birthday or younger for most people when you first have your drink. You have no idea what this stuff is going to do to you. So what happens is invariably you drink way too much. I can still remember the first time I got drunk. It was an entire bottle of gin which I drank over the space of a couple of hours. And obviously it ended an absolute disaster. I can't even smell gin anymore, still all these years later. Now, when you do first start drinking and you don't understand what it is that you're doing or how to handle the alcohol, you drink too much. And then what happens is, if we use that kind of wave chart, go back to that analogy. So if you're trying to walk after drinking too much, you kind of stagger to the left and you can't control yourself, and then you may even fall over, but you get yourself back up, you try and correct yourself back to that center line. But then, because you're still very drunk, you overcorrect and you go staggering to the right, you maybe fall over again, you get back up and you bring yourself back to the center. What I want you to imagine is that when you're doing this staggering, that is you making mistakes as a trader. So you're going off on the fear of missing out, and then you're going off on the refusing to take a loss, and so you're moving your stop. As a beginner, those waves tend to be a lot larger. So that's when you have the blow up of the account. So let's think of the fear of missing out. The fear of missing out for a beginner usually ends with taking tons of trades every day, and they have lots of losses. So that's the big peak on that wave on the chart. And then things like moving your stop. When you're a beginner, the moving your stop tends to be you just refuse to have the loss, and you just keep moving it and moving it and moving it and moving it until you blow the account. And then you pull yourself back into the center and you start again. Something that you've probably heard tons of over the past few weeks is flattening the curve. Now, as you become a more experienced trader, those waves ideally start to shrink down, and that's what we are always looking to do. We're looking to shrink them down, shrink them down, shrink them down as close to that horizontal line as possible. And if you think back to alcohol, that's when you start to kind of understand your limits. And so rather than going out like I did and drinking an entire bottle of gin, I'll space it out and I'll drink slower, and it means you can enjoy the night, which would be you trading regularly day to day, but it's not going to end in disaster. Well, not always. So as a trader, you should always be thinking about these kind of emotional responses that you are having. You should always be looking to flatten the curve so that you're as close to this horizontal line as possible. So identifying the mistakes, identifying the things that are causing you to have these wild swings and trying to correct them. Now, as a more experienced trader, this is where it gets a little bit more difficult, because you can never completely flatten the curve. You can never just have that horizontal line. It's not possible. You are a human being. You're going to make mistakes. The idea is to kind of shrink it down as far as possible. So if you think about a drunk person walking, it's almost the friend on either side of the shoulder, making sure that they walk as straight as possible. They still have a little bit of a stagger, but they're kept on the straight and narrow. I'm always looking for things that are kind of popping up, because kind of month to month there'll be a little creeping of a weakness that comes in. It could be something like you have a little bit of fear of missing out and it makes you take a stupid ass trade throughout the month. So you identify it, you work on it, and you bring it back to the center. But then maybe the next week you'll have a little bit of fear kind of creeping up. So you're in a trade, and rather than letting it run to profit, you come out quickly and you end up at break even or something. It's very, very normal because we're emotional beings, and this is going to happen over and over again. But the idea is you should understand that it's happening, and then the more advanced you become at trading, or the more time you do it, you should be looking to kind of bring it in and in and in and in. So the mistakes are very, very small, and not only are they very small, but you're able to correct them very quickly and bring yourself back into that center point, getting ready for the next kind of little weave that you're going to have, and then you pull it back, and then the next little weave you have and you pull it back. So that is the first thing. And let me tell you, the waves when you're beginning, they're going to be enormous. Unfortunately, it's just part of the learning process. The second thing, and this kind of ties into the first one, I suppose, experience counts. You cannot become a consistently profitable trader over the long term without building experience first. Now, I'm sure if you're a beginner especially, a large portion of you will be rolling your eyes and thinking, what the hell does this guy know? Doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm going to do it very quickly. Let me hit that dislike button and disappear off to a video that's going to kind of gently lie to me and prop up my lies. Experience is absolutely key as a trader, and experience cannot be taught. It just can't be taught. You can be taught the kind of the ABC of what you're supposed to be doing, and you can be helped along the way, kind of, you know, this is what you did wrong, this is most likely what you were doing and thinking at the time, you need to kind of bring it back. So if you think about the wave chart, we're identifying the waves for you and kind of bringing you back into the center. But experience is absolutely key. Time on the charts is absolutely key, because a lot of trading, as well as the technical aspects, is the emotional aspects. It's those waves. You cannot stop those waves until you identify them and start to learn to correct them. The amount of people that I have spoken to over the years who have come to trading and said to me they're going to do it within 6 months, they're going to do it within a year, and they've been absolutely certain. And when I've tried to gently kind of nudge them and say, look, you're putting too much pressure on yourself, what you're actually doing is setting yourself up for failure here. And then they ignore me and then they go on with it. The amount of people I've seen who do that and then cause themselves more emotional distress than necessary is enormous. It happens all the time. If you simply accept the fact that for everything in life, it doesn't matter if it's trading, learning how to play the guitar, learning how to drive a car, going to university and learning a new subject, it takes time and experience. If you can understand that and accept that it's going to be the same for trading, it's going to make the process a little bit easier for you. It's not going to make it very easy, because you're still going to have to go through the emotional turmoil, you're still going to have to go through the mistakes, you're still going to have to go through the terrible kind of journey of losing money over and over again. But if you're able to understand that you're going on this journey and it's a process and you're building up experience, it can help enormously. And it's gonna stop you putting everything you have into your trading account at the very start, risking way too high and then losing it all. Because you'll understand that, well, you know what, I need to kind of jump into a bumper car here, or I need to have my training wheels on my bike here, so I'm going to start small. I'm going to prove it to myself over time, and then I'm going to build slowly. It's going to help you enormously. I wish when I was learning, someone had taken me by the scruff of the shirt and shaken me, and said to me, do not do what you're thinking about doing. You're not going to be a full-time trader in 6 months. Please step back, put your money back in your bank account, because all that's going to happen is you're going to give it to the broker. So take your time. Understand it's going to take you time to gain the experience on top of learning the technical aspects of trading. It's going to put you on such a strong footing. It's going to help you so much, I promise you. The third thing I would say, and this is kind of more something you can kind of do straight away, and it's something that I learned years and years ago. I didn't learn it from anyone else. I just kind of figured it out on my own. Don't keep all of your money in your trading account. Now, I don't mean all of your money. I'm talking about all of the money you have for your trading. Now, that's a little bit more difficult if you're trading a smaller account. But as it starts to grow and as you start to risk higher, don't keep all of your trading account with the broker. There's multiple different reasons for this. I'm going to go over a few of them. The first one, what happens if something happens to the broker? What happens if the broker closes down unexpectedly? You're not going to get a warning. They're not going to tell you, you know what, we are actually pretty close to going into administration. If that does happen, even if you get the money back, it's going to take time. And if trading is an income source, you don't have that time. You need to be able to trade your account. You need to be able to get to your money. So not keeping all of your money in there makes that possible. Number two, if you trade longer term, think about the enormous gaps that we had, well, really for the past several weekends, over the past several weekends, over the space of kind of 6-7 weeks. How many people do you think were going the wrong way on one of those markets without a guaranteed stop, and then they came back to the charts and they were looking at enormous losses, huge losses, wiping out their entire account, or worse, leaving them in negative? If you don't have all of your money in your trading account, that can't happen. Yes, you can go into negative, but then you can basically turn around to the broker and say, chase me for it. And you can still take that money and put it into a different broker and trade again, and once again start your income source. The other reason, and this is really important, if you don't have all of your money in your trading account, you can't blow all of your money when you go on to, let's say, some kind of crazy emotional spree. Now, as you gain more experience, that goes away, but it's always nice, well, I feel it's always nice to have that protection there anyway, because I know that I've never got all of my money in that account. So no matter what happens, I can't blow my entire trading account. I would have to blow the portion that's in the account, then I would have to go away, put more money into the trading account. Now I already know when that happens, I'm not going to put it all in. So I then have to blow that one, go back to my bank, take out another portion, put it back in, and do this over and over again. It's not going to happen. I'm going to snap out of it. I'm going to say to myself, what the hell am I doing here? I just need to stop and walk away. If you don't keep your money out of your trading account, that doesn't happen. If you've been trading for any length of time and you've suffered through emotional trading, you get locked into this horrible process where you can rinse out an entire account. Especially as a beginner when you're building. It's very, very important, and it's very, very useful. As I've said, when you gain more experience, you don't have those kind of wild swings on that kind of wave chart. But it's always nice to do it anyway for the other reasons, and it's that last level of protection anyway. Just because you know or you tell yourself it's not going to happen, why not just have the safety of it on top of that? So those are the 3 pieces of advice that I give to both beginners and more experienced traders. Those are the things that I really wish I had known when I was first starting out as a trader, because they would have helped me enormously. So, as always, I hope that was helpful. Hopefully you're all having a good experience in the markets. They're much more volatile, there's a lot more opportunities. As always, keep yourself safe, protect your capital first and foremost. I'm James Orr, and thank you.